Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. Roman Reigns suspects Paul Heyman is hiding something from him. Explains why he didn't answer his calls during 4-month WWE hiatus. Roman Reigns has opened up about not picking up Paul Heyman's calls while he was on a hiatus from WWE. During the original Tribal Chief's time off, the Wiseman was kicked out of the bloodline by Solo Sikoa. The head of the table lost the undisputed WWE Universal Championship to Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania XL and immediately went on a hiatus. A lot of things happened during his absence, and Solo Sikoa crowned himself the Tribal Chief. He brought in new members and removed Jimmy Uso and Paul Heyman from the stable. In a recent interview with Sports Illustrated, Roman Reigns talked about not picking up Heyman's calls during his hiatus. Here's what he said. Roman Reigns recently tried to call Paul Heyman, but the latter's phone number was out of service. Many fans felt that the Wiseman was going to turn against the original Tribal Chief in the near future. In a shocking twist, Heyman brought CM Punk along with him last week on SmackDown and revealed the latter as the 5th member of the OG Bloodline's War Games team. Judging by Reigns' reaction, he did not have any idea about the Wiseman's return and the best in the world's inclusion in his War Games team. The world of WWE thrives on drama, larger-than-life personas, and narratives that blur the line between reality and fiction. Roman Reigns, the indomitable Tribal Chief, is a master of this craft, consistently captivating fans with his presence and layered storytelling. However, behind the curtains of dominance lies a mind always working, always analyzing, and recently, always questioning. Roman Reigns had just returned from a 4-month hiatus, a break that had the WWE Universe buzzing with questions. Where had the Tribal Chief been? Was his iron grip over SmackDown loosening? And perhaps most intriguingly, why did Paul Heyman, his wise man and trusted counsel, appear so evasive during his absence? Reigns, known for his calculating demeanor, couldn't ignore the nagging feeling that something wasn't right. Reigns' time away from WWE wasn't merely a vacation. It was a calculated decision to recharge, reassess, and strategize for the next chapter of his career. During this period, he kept a low profile, spending time with his family, training, and reflecting on his monumental run as champion. But as the weeks turned into months, Reigns found himself repeatedly dialing Heyman's number, seeking updates on the bloodline and the WWE landscape. Strangely, Heyman's responses were sporadic and, at times, non-existent. The lack of communication wasn't just unusual, it was unacceptable. Paul Heyman answers to me, Reigns declared in a recent backstage interview, his tone tinged with both disappointment and menace. For 4 months, I expected loyalty. What I got was silence. That doesn't sit well with me. Upon his return to SmackDown, Reigns was greeted with the familiar strains of his entrance music and the thunderous reaction of the WWE Universe. Yet, as he entered the ring flanked by Solo Sikoa, his demeanor was noticeably colder. The dynamic with Heyman seemed off. The normally unflappable special counsel appeared jittery, his hands clasped nervously as he stood behind Reigns. "I've been gone for a while," he began, his voice measured yet commanding. "And in my absence, I've seen cracks forming in the bloodline. That's not what I built. That's not what I stand for. And the one person who was supposed to hold it together." Reigns turned his piercing gaze toward Heyman. "Didn't." Heyman, visibly sweating, stammered out a defense. "My Tribal Chief, I assure you, everything I did was in your best interest. The lines of communication were blurred at times, but I was always working for you." Reigns raised an eyebrow, unimpressed. "Blurred lines? You don't blur anything when it comes to me, Paul. So why didn't you answer my calls?" As Reigns interrogated Heyman in front of millions, fans could feel the tension rising. Heyman, ever the orator, attempted to regain control of the narrative. He spoke of the chaos during Reigns' absence, Jey Uso leaving the faction, Jimmy Uso's erratic behavior, and Cody Rhodes pushing for another shot at the championship. "My Tribal Chief, I was putting out fires left and right," Heyman pleaded. "Every decision I made was to protect your reign, to ensure that when you returned, you'd find the island of relevancy intact." But Reigns wasn't buying it. His instincts told him there was more to the story, something Heyman wasn't telling him. "You've been with me long enough to know that I don't tolerate excuses," Reigns said, his voice dropping to a dangerous low. You had one job, Paul, to keep everything in line. And yet, I come back to chaos. That makes me wonder, what were you really doing while I was gone? Backstage, the tension between Reigns and Heyman continued to simmer. Reigns instructed Solo Sikoa to keep a close eye on Heyman, a clear sign that his trust in his special counsel was wavering. Meanwhile, rumors began swirling about what Heyman might be hiding. Some speculated that Heyman had been in contact with Brock Lesnar, his former client. Others suggested he might have been working behind the scenes to align himself with Cody Rhodes, hedging his bets in case Reigns' dominance waned. The most intriguing theory, however, involved Jey Uso. Reports suggested that Heyman might have been the one to encourage Jey to leave the bloodline, believing it was the only way to save the group from imploding during Reigns' absence. If true, this would be the ultimate betrayal, a move that prioritized the bloodline's survival over Reigns' authority. Reigns, ever the strategist, decided to bide his time. He knew Heyman's loyalty, or lack thereof, would reveal itself eventually. In the meantime, he focused on reasserting his dominance, taking on challenges, and reminding the WWE Universe why he was the tribal chief. But the tension with Heyman was impossible to ignore. Each week, their interactions grew colder, their dynamic more strained. Fans watched eagerly, waiting for the inevitable explosion. The turning point came during a pivotal SmackDown segment. Reigns, seated at the head of the table, called Heyman into the ring. I gave you a chance to come clean, Paul, Reigns said, his voice deadly calm. But you didn't. So now, I'm going to ask you one last time. What are you hiding from me? Heyman, visibly trembling, hesitated. The silence was deafening. Nothing, my tribal chief, Heyman finally whispered. Reigns smirked, though there was no humor in it. Wrong answer. With that, Reigns nodded to Solo Sikoa, who stepped forward menacingly. Heyman's protests filled the arena, but Reigns raised a hand, silencing him. You think I don't see what's going on? Reigns continued. You think I don't know about the meetings, the phone calls, the lies? You're a lot of things, Paul, but you're not a good liar. And now, you're going to pay the price. The segment ended with Sikoa delivering a devastating Samoan spike to Heyman, leaving him sprawled in the ring. Reigns stood over his fallen counsel, his expression a mix of anger and disappointment. Let this be a lesson, Reigns said, addressing both the WWE Universe and his remaining allies. Loyalty isn't optional, it's mandatory. And betrayal gets punished. As SmackDown went off the air, fans were left with more questions than answers. What was Heyman hiding? Was his betrayal personal, or was it part of a larger scheme? And how would Reigns navigate this new chapter without the man who had been by his side for years? The storyline between Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman is a masterclass in WWE storytelling, an intricate web of trust, power, and betrayal. It's a reminder that even the most dominant figures can be vulnerable, and that loyalty, once broken, is nearly impossible to repair. For Reigns, the path forward is clear. Continue his reign of dominance, eliminate threats, and rebuild his circle of trust. For Heyman, the future is uncertain. Will he find redemption, or is his time with the bloodline truly over? One thing is certain, the WWE Universe will be watching, eager to see how this saga unfolds.